And I'm live. That is cool. And today is 6th of August 2025, Wednesday. And I will just continue solving 1200 level code forces questions from CP31 sheet. Let's go. Yep, I can stop these. Stream health. And yep, this is the format in which I'm going to be solving questions from now on. My editor terminal on the right and the questions on the left, which is cool. Now this one, this is the next one, and I also need a stopwatch, which I will have here. I will also have X skill draw here, and I will only have my questions and my code editor on here. Okay, do I begin? Yes, I do. Okay, let me drink a bit of water. Okay, cool. You are given an array A of n elements and you can perform the following operation no more than n times. Select three indices x, y, z, x, y, z. Okay, replace x with the y minus z. Okay, after the operation, x needs to be less than this. The value of x needs to be less than this. Absolute value of x needs to be less than this. Okay, your goal is to make the resulting array non-descending. Absolute value has to be lower than this, and I can subtract one element from the one that is later, and okay, put the difference on to left some element. Okay, and your goal is to make the array non-descending so that it is increasing. Okay, so I would want az to be greater than ay, and I have to do this operation exactly n times, no more than n times or 0 times. Okay, and the difference has to be lower than ay. Okay, so I have to find one element to the right of ay whose value is no greater than a2 into ay, because I want to make this array non-descending. Okay, our goal is to make the resulting array non-descending. If there are multiple solutions, you can output any. If it is impossible, you should report it as well. Okay, first n and then the number and then the array. Okay, n is this. Numbers are also negative. Okay, output -1, print -1 single line if there is no solution. Otherwise, in the first line, you should print a single number m, the number of operations you performed. Then I, then the I of the following m lines should contain three integers, the places that I performed the operation on. Okay, and I do not want to minimize m. Okay, I do not want to minimize the number of operations that I am performing. This is the first number. Okay, okay, so I check this with this and I see that this is wrong, so I need to change this and make this smaller than this. I have to reduce the size of this number, non-descending. But if I were to do that and later if I reduce the size of this, it might become smaller than this, so that doesn't seem right. But if I can I change this rightmost number? No, I cannot change this rightmost number, that is true. Can I change this number? I don't think so. Yep, I cannot change the last two numbers. So every number I have here has to be smaller than this. Okay, so I begin iterating from this and I need to see, can I make this number smaller than these two? This -1 and then 2 is non-descending. because 2 is greater than -1. Okay, that is cool. So I need to make this 2 smaller than -1. And can I do that? What I can do is -1 minus 2. That is, I can make this -3. Okay, which is cool. And then I go here and I see, is this wrong? Yes, it is wrong. No, it is right, because it is 2 -1 -2 and -4. Then I go more to the left and I check 5, and I need to make 5 smaller than -4. Can I do that? Yes, I can. I can choose to subtract from -4 positive 2. So I can do two operations here. This, and in this case I'm doing this one, which is putting this value of 5 equal to this number minus this, which, or this number minus this number, because like, yeah, and then changing the value of this 2 to be equal to -3. Okay, and in this case I can never find a correct answer, because this second last two numbers I can never change, and they are not in a non-descending order, so I can never make this array into a non-descending array. So -1, and in this it is already a non-descending array, so I have to iterate from the third last number and going back. I have to go back, and okay, and what matters? The difference, that is difference. Okay, whenever I see a mismatch like this and this, I need to find just a single positive number from the right and subtract that positive number from this number to make this smaller. Okay, so I can just do that. Yep, yep, that is cool. Keep track of the positive number and keep moving. Boilerplate 27, int n, scene n, and vi a size n for auto x in a scene x. After that, for int I equals n minus 3, yes, and till I greater than equal to 0 and I minus minus. And n cannot be, yep, n will be 3 always, so that is cool. Okay, maybe I can make this a little bit bigger, and now I need to compare this element with the next one. So if ai is greater than ai plus 1, then I have to do something. Okay, p is a positive number, and I will check. Okay, before moving I have to check the last two numbers before that, before anything else. So if a n minus 2, a n minus 1 is smaller than a n minus 2, then we do not have a solution. -1. Okay, then we do not have a solution, and int p is going to point to a positive number, which is going to be, and also not just any positive number. I do need a positive number here, but not just any positive number. I would like to keep an array, a sorted array, maybe a set of positive numbers, and take the smallest positive number which I can use to make this element adhere, because if I go too high, maybe I might mess up the pattern coming up later. So in this, instead of keeping an integer, I will keep set, a set, a set of integers. Let's call it S. And if a n minus 1 greater than 0, then s dot insert a n minus 1. And if a n minus 2 also greater than 0, then s dot insert a minus 2. And I do not think that this is an overkill. I think this would be necessary. And then I start iterating from this point, from the third last, and I check if this is smaller, then if the number which is appearing earlier is smaller, then I need to do something, and diff would be ai minus ai plus 1. So this diff is the smallest number that I need. So I need a number that is either equal to this or greater than this, and for that I will choose, okay, and I also need a count of operations and a way to then output the operations. So to keep track of that, and cnt initially 0, and whenever I see this, cnt plus plus, and whenever I see this, where will I keep the track of the numbers? Okay, vix, viy, I can create three vectors, right, for every operation, for the operations, and x dot push back I s dot wait okay, okay, I can choose any y and any x, so I can shit, maybe in some cases this algorithm might not work, because what I'm concerned with is the difference between between the y element and the z element that I'm choosing, not that y has to be 1 greater than x. And shit, okay, but yep. This might not work in every case. This might not work in every case, but let's see if it does. So x dot pushback I, yes, because that is the x that we are choosing, and y dot pushback I plus 1, and then the positive number that I need to choose. So let's call it in zz equals lower bound, because I need a number that is either equal to it or greater than it, greater than the difference. And where do I need it? S dot begin, S dot end, and index is the number that I am looking for, and auto. Okay, after getting z, I check if zz not equal to S dot end. It means I do have a place there where I can use z, but if this, then break, and I need an indicator outside bool p possible true, and if I break, then p equals false, and then I break. But if not, that is I have a number that I can subtract. So z dot pushback that number, but how Shit, I also need the index of that number. Shit. So maybe map would work. Instead of set, a map would work then. Because I need to keep track of the index. M, M, and insert. Nope. If this is this, then I need number. Yep. M, A, N minus 1 equals to n minus 1 or n. This is that is the index. And if this, then M, A, N minus 2 equals n minus 1. That is the index. And okay, and here this is also M. Okay, and okay, now I also have the index and the number. When I have that, int n new, like nw, that is the what do I get as the new number? The new number would be y, the number ai plus 1 minus the number that I have chosen, which would be zz dot second. Zz dot second, that is the new number. And what do I need to check? If this number, if nw greater than 0, I need to add this to the map. M, what is the value? Value is nw. And what is the index? Index is I plus 1, since it is 0 index. And I just keep doing that. And else, if the condition is satisfied, I see if ai greater than 0, then m ai equals I plus 1. But I think this might break, and I have to add the index to z. And why am I doing this? This should be first instead of second, and change the value and z dot push back z dot second. That is the index. And also make these 0 index, 1 index. After all of this is over, and if still if still possible, then see out first of all, count, and for int I equals 0, I less than cnt I plus plus, I will output all the numbers. See out first of all z x I xi space y I space z I. Okay, and that's cool. Else, if it is not possible, then see out the exact same thing that I outputted above, which was here. Let's see. That is cool. Type value constant long cannot change some value. What does the compiler mean in sorting? Okay, which part is giving the error? Everything is integer. Integer is long, and int diff equals this AI, the current element, minus the element to the right. Shit. And also here I do not need difference. I do not. No, I do need a difference. Yeah, I do need difference. So that I subtract that from that. Oh, I do not need difference. I'm subtracting from this. So I need the smallest positive number. I need one, the smallest positive number. I do not need map and everything that I'm shit. AY, Z becomes equal to AY minus AZ. So I just need the smallest positive number. The smallest positive number. Even if it is 1, then we are cool because the value of the number at Z does not matter. Then smallest positive number. Yep. But can I have any other value of Y and Z that I can choose from one of the array? I want this number to be smaller than this, and so what do I subtract from this? I subtract the smallest possible positive number, which in our case is plus 2, which is plus 2 and plus 2. But and this number is always going to be smaller than this number. Okay, and I want their difference to be smaller than this number. I want their difference to be smaller than this number. And in this case, the difference between this and this is minus 6. I can use that here, but can I use any other number here? Any other combination of numbers? I know that if I choose any other number other than this, it is either going to be equal to this number, which like does not matter, or it is going to be greater than this number. And if it is going to be greater than this number, then to make the difference as small, I want the difference to be smaller than this, but as great as possible. But as great as possible. I think this should work. And yeah, I feel like it will not work in some cases, but we will look at them maybe at some point. And I do not need these. Lowest equals, I need the lowest positive number, which would be if a n minus 1 greater than 0, then let's say lowest and L equals 0. And L equals a n minus 1. And then if a n minus 2 is also greater than 0, then L is going to be minimum of L or a n minus 1. Okay. Okay, that is just what I need, and I don't need any of this. I just need the smallest positive number or its index, not the number. I need its index. If this, then n minus 1, and yep, n minus 1, and so at this point, this is correct, but I need to check this one also, and if this is also positive, if both are positive, then I need to take the index of the smaller number, and so a n minus 1, if it is smaller than a n minus 2, smaller or greater does not, smaller, just smaller. If it is smaller, then L remains as it is, index n minus 1, otherwise it becomes n minus 2. Okay, and okay, so now I know the value of z. Z is the smallest number, so L, right, and yep. And also, what is this new number that I have created? So in, I don't need this now. So NW new number is will be equal to A I plus 1 minus A L, and since I'm storing numbers in one indexed in the arrays, so L plus 1 L, this is new, and if NW is smaller than AL, what was the, it has to be smaller and positive if NW greater than 0 and also smaller than the smallest positive number till now, then, and also shit, it cannot be equal to the number that I am subtracting from. Yes, yes, it cannot be equal to that number. So here will be this, and yep, that is the only number that I can do this to, and if anything like this, then increase count, push back this number, push back the next number, push back z because it is positive and it is smallest. Do I need any negative numbers? No, I do not need any negative numbers. And int nw, this is the new number, and after this I will go there, and this number will become my new y, and the number that was, so if, so I can make the array change in the array after this. Okay, a I equals a I plus 1 minus al. Now ai is changed, and what is the new number that I could have is ai plus 1. If it is greater than 0 and ai plus 1 is lower than al, if that is the case, then l equals I plus 1. Okay, and AI equals AI plus 1 minus L, the lowest positive number. Okay, and this always happens, right? This is always the lowest positive number. And before this, I have to see if a n minus 1, the last number has to be positive. If it is not, if it is not, then there is a problem. If it is negative, then I have to see if the whole array is already like sorted, if the whole array is correct. Because I need all the other numbers to be smaller. Yeah. So this is minus 1, and if a, and yes, I am not reading the chat right now, which is like bruh, less than equal to 0, that means I will not have any ability to change these numbers. If a n minus 1 less than 0, then I have to see is the array already sorted. So what I will do is int I equals 0, I less than n n minus 1 I plus plus. I will not go to the last element, and if at any point I see that if ai this number has to be less than or equal to, so if this number at any point greater than the next number, then p equals false and break, right? If this is the case, and if not, then simply this. Okay, push to x, push to y, push to z. Z is a smaller number, and yes, z is a positive number, the smallest positive number, and then update the value of ai, the number that I am at, and then see the next value of L that I could have if it is better. Then I will have that, and then else, if this is not the case, then I do not need to change anything, and I will simply see that I could add ai plus 1 in this case also into that. So if ai plus 1 is positive and ai plus 1 is smaller than al, the smallest positive number that I have, then L equals ai plus 1. And I'm increasing the count only in this case, and yeah, let's see. Wrong answer. That is cool. That is actually cool. 1, 2, 3, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that is correct, at least for these test cases, but I think this will not work in all of them. It would have to be a bit more complicated than this. Shit, 30 minutes is crazy. Hi, hello, car lover. You love cars, I guess. Let me put this here.